Hello and welcome to Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. Welcome to day 59 of the 101 Day Challenge. Now, as you remember that we are currently in the inception, so it's a checklist inside of a checklist inside of a checklist. As you know, in the movie Inception, they were in a dream inside of a dream inside of a dream. So the first layer of checklist was the state impact checklist, where we are evaluating courses of action. And in the bottom level of evaluating courses of action, we were framing the context. And then the next level was to start to put some scenarios, to build some scenarios within that context. And as you remember, we went through the state teamwork checklist to talk about the ways that we can start to build scenarios with different organizations, whether they are providers, whether they are peers, or whether they are our customers. Now, after we finished that checklist, then we moved on to the state. What did we do next? We started the state drive checklist. Now, in the state drive checklist, we started talking about the trailing level of the trailing position as in regards to successfulness, and we talked about the laid back level in regards to effort. And we want to move from this laid back trailing position, which we called recollecting, and we want to be able to move up to the higher level of effort, which we call diligent. So diligent, even though you become diligent, you could possibly still be in a trailing position. And then we called this striving. So the question really today is how, when you're working with your team members, when you're working with your employees, when you are working with providers, or when you're thinking about your customers, the first stage is to be able to characterize different attitudes with regards to work. And then certainly with your own team members, you want to be able to figure out how to influence those attitudes. So that's why we're doing the dream inside of the dream inside of the dream. We jump over to the state purposes checklist in order to figure out how to increase those levels of effort. Now, one way to increase the levels of effort is to understand the state purposes checklist. Now, in the state purposes checklist, there is also those three levels which correlate with the endeavor elements. So as you remember, the endeavor elements are what? They're shape potential, form agendas, and create effects. And as you start to think about the duties, the responsibilities, the type of work that people do, usually it's around those three areas. So either you have one guy on your team and he's always coming up with these great ideas. Then you have another guy who's like, oh, that's a really interesting idea, and he can put together the plan. And then you hand the plan off to the last guy, and he just loves to fulfill those plans. He loves to do the work. He likes to look at the outcomes. He likes the results. Now, the state purposes checklist, it can actually help you quite a bit to begin to identify what people are good at, what types of work people enjoy doing, what type of work people are good at, and then also, if you can identify those things, then you'll be more successful in bringing teams together. So these three endeavor elements, as we talk about the purposes over the next couple of days, you're going to find out that there are a number of purposes which are connected with each of those three levels. So there are purposes that are connected with shaping potential. There are purposes which are connected with forming agendas. And there are purposes which are connected with creating effects. And today, we're going to talk about shaping potential. All right, so people who like to shape potential. Now, today's theme is, here it is. So today's theme from the book Create Crucial Insight by Thomas Buchholz. Today's theme is called Maintain or Enhance Wellness. So the idea to maintain or enhance wellness, all right, so this is related to shaping potential. It means that someone has the potential to do something, to create some kind of product, to develop some type of service in order to maintain somebody's health. And then there are other products and services that will enable people to enhance their wellness. So you can imagine all of the supplements out there. You can imagine all of the food that people are producing. You could think about different types of exercise equipment. You can think about emotional health. All of these industries which are related to maintaining or enhancing our wellness. Now, what are some of the things, what are some of the different ways that you can maintain or enhance your health? Like, what are we talking about when we talk about wellness? Like, we could be talking about your medical wellness. We could also be talking about your financial wellness. All right, so how can you develop potential around those areas? If you think about your medical health, your physical health, what kind of potential is there for you to maintain your health? What kind of potential is there to enhance your health? And then when you think about your financial well-being, what kind of potential do you have to maintain your financial position? And what kind of potential do you have to enhance your financial position? All right, so people who do things based on this purpose. All right, so you can think of entrepreneurs who are really good at coming up with ideas related to improving or enhancing their medical or physical health. And you can think of entrepreneurs who are really good at thinking of ways to maintain or enhance their financial well-being. And these people, they just really love to think about all the different ways that they can create products or services around these things. These people are highly motivated to figure out ways to maintain or enhance people's financial or physical health. So if you have somebody if your product is surrounded around this type of concept, then it's important to find people who are motivated to develop this type of potential. Because if you can find somebody who is naturally motivated and they have this purpose inside of them and it drives them constantly to figure out new ideas in order to maintain or enhance wellness, then you will be able to, if you jump now, so now we're talking about the state purposes, the first theme of that state purposes checklist. Now we jump back into the state drive checklist, all right? So if you had a guy, you gave him some job, and he doesn't really like it, all right? So he has a laid-back level of effort. Now, if you want to help him to go into a diligent level of effort, then make sure you're giving him responsibilities that are surrounded around the purposes that he works towards. If you can find a guy who is driven to do things surrounded by that relate to coming up with ideas to enhance or maintain health, and then you put him in a position where his job is to come up with ideas to how to enhance or to maintain wellness, then it's going to be easy to move him from that laid-back level of effort to that higher, diligent level of effort. Now, over the next couple of days, we're going to go through the rest of these themes, the rest of the purposes of the state purpose checklist. And as we go through, for example, these other themes which are related to developing potential, then it'll help you to pinpoint what is the potential that your product or service is trying to develop. And then you'll be able to go out and figure out which providers have this natural desire or motivation to enhance all the different types of things where people are working on shaping potential. And then we're going to move up into the form agendas area. And finally, we're going to move up into the creating effects area. And for each of these different areas, we're going to pinpoint the specific purposes that drive people. And by doing that, we'll be able to move people from the laid-back level of effort to the higher striving level of effort, the diligent level of effort. So, and then eventually we're going to attach those things right back into the Excel spreadsheet that we created with the state teamwork checklist, and then we're going to have all these different scenarios that we've built. So at the very end, we'll be able to choose the people that we are going to work with and the different scenarios that we're going to work toward in order to have the most impact. Thank you for connecting to Space Between Ideas. I'm Blank Gates.